Yo, J-My back with another video. And is Jon Jones the GOAT? I keep hearing GOAT, 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 GOAT. Outrageous goes. But is Jon the GOAT? Is he the greatest of all time? Well, he has an impressive resume. The names on his resume, he went through a slew of champions. He's retained his belt. The only time he's lost is when he's given it up or got in trouble. His only loss at MMA is a disqualification or downward elbow without a warning. Just a downward elbow and disqual. But Jon is a dirty fighter, so he probably deserves that disqualification. So let's call it a loss. But this is the same thing with Anderson Silva, because Anderson Silva, they all got the Jon Anderson, who else? GSP, they got the longest defense streaks. I think Nunes is up there now, too. I don't know what her numbers is, but I think combined 45 and 35. She's got quite a few there now, like 9 or something. And then you got, don't forget DJ. I think DJ holds the record for back-to-back-to-back title defenses. He's got like 14 or something. So who is the GOAT? Well, Jon popped. Anderson popped. You can't tell me that George St. Pierre didn't do a steroid in his life ever. He did some dirty, cheating things like Vaseline Gate versus BJ Penn, because BJ Penn was taking it to that ass in the first round. And then he oils up. BJ can't hold him. And then BJ gasses out in the third. But BJ was winning that fight up until the Vaseline was there. So would he not take a steroid? Nick Diaz says that he was taking steroids. Nick Diaz and Nate Diaz usually don't lie about that. So is he the GOAT? Everybody's on steroids. So who's just more flagrant? Jon's more flagrant. He's been on steroids so much that you saw to change the rule for the amount of steroids allowed in your system. You can now have these metabolites in your system up to a certain amount, which is craziness. It's straight craziness. They're saying you could have some steroids in your system. USADA's a joke. USADA is a con. It's a joke. It's a con. And they do whatever they have to do to keep fights going and make it look as clean as they can, but they're dirty. USADA's dirty. They were dirty with Brock Lesnar. They knew he was dirty, and they let him fight. The UFC's dirty. Come on now. But is Jon the GOAT? He's probably got the highest fight IQ we've seen in there. But the thing is, without those performance enhancers, like when he's fighting Gustafsson, would he have won that fight? It was real close, you know? It was razor thin. But taking those steroids gave him that edge to be able to push in that last fifth and final round to beat Gustafsson. Gus might have won that damn fight without steroids. The first DC fight, that was pretty close and competitive. What other fights? I mean, the second DC fight, he popped with a head kick. Would he have been able to be that dynamic and throw that kick out there without PEDs? But Anderson, we caught him at the end of his career after the broken leg. And I think I understand when you're snapping your leg in half, taking some daggone steroids to try to heal your body. So that was a little bit ridiculous. He lied about it and called it dick pills, but that kind of tarnished Anderson's legacy, because up to that, he was the GOAT. DJ's never popped, but has he ever used? It wouldn't surprise me if he's ever taken a steroid or something. But he seems like a pretty clean-cut guy. So I can't really tell you who the GOAT is, because all of them are possible drug cheats, and that's the reality of the sport of MMA, that everybody's on something to get that edge because it's that competitive. It's that brutal on the body, too. That's why they use those steroids for recovery than it is for anything else, and they use it so they can train more often, so they can get more time in, they can learn more technique, they can get more muscular endurance, so they keep pushing. But out of all of them, I'd have to say GSP probably to me is the GOAT. Why? Because even though he's always been a class act. He's always been a gentleman. And he's always been a good role model. He's got class. And GSP is loved by a bunch of people. And his fight IQ is high, too. It might be as high as Jon Jones. They just had different tools they used, but to not be a wrestler and to use wrestling the way that GSP did was pretty amazing. But Jon is still up at the top of the list. He's one of the best talents we've ever seen in there, but would he be without the PEDs? Would any of them be without the PEDs? I mean, real talk. How many champions have we seen come and go? They're all on PEDs, more than you probably imagine, because that's the nature of the sport. Like we just saw, you saw this change rules so people can now take IVs to mask them, and they can now do stuff, and they want people to have freaking steroids in their system, but just not get caught, to make it look clean, but when it's not clean, to give it the appearance of clean. But in professional sports, PEDs will always be an issue. They will always be used because there's too much money involved. There's too much pressure. There's too much damage to the body and strain on the body. They need them to perform at that level. So, I mean, I don't just de-illegalize it or make it not illegal, because they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. They're still doing it. That way, it used to be an even playing field. Nobody freaking complained about Pride's rules. They were all on steroids. The contract says we do not test for steroids from Pride. I've seen the contract highlighted in yellow. We do not test for steroids. We had some pretty great fights out of Pride too. So Nick Diaz said it. Everybody's on steroids. Or Nate Diaz said it. Everybody's on steroids. They all are. So if you want to call Jon your GOAT, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to say he's not, because, I mean, he just ran through. He had some trash-looking fights, but he still got the W's on him. So I still thought he won those fights. So, you know, he's getting up there in years in 205, but a move to heavyweight, you can get extra time in your career. Heavyweights can be successful at a much older age, usually, than the other weight classes. The lighter the weight class, the younger you're going to see the champions. I mean, look, when was Aldo a champion at his peak time, 145? In his early 20s, like 23, 24. You know, those guys, because it's the speed and the explosion they have at that age. And that speed, as you know, as you get older, that's what you start losing. But you get timing, but that speed is something in those lightweight classes. As you get up, you get to heavyweight, you can be older and be successful. Everybody's a little slower, but you maintain power. And that's what you need at heavyweight. You need power and strength. And anyway, so Jon, put him at the top of your list. I'm not going to argue. I just think he's a piece of trash for the most part. He's got issues. He beats his woman, and he runs around, and he shoots guns while he's drunk in the middle of the freaking city, and slams his freaking head on police cars and drag races and breaks pregnant ladies' arms, and comes back for the drugs and the money. The drugs and the money. Yeah. Jon's not a good dude. He's a bad dude. Reminds of Conor McGregor, too. The people at the top of the sport are mostly bad dudes. Because Conor's trash, too, man. He's been in so many altercations, been arrested so many times, got so many rape allegations. These people are sometimes they're just monsters, but they entertain us. Anyway, I'm going to say again, GSP, he's mine for the class. But all those are in my top 5. George, Jones, GSP, and DJ's up in there too. So anyway, have a good night. God bless. I'm out. Peace. Who's your GOAT? Who's your top 5?